All right, so how many parts to the large intestine do you think? We haven't talked about it yet. Same number as the small intestine, which would be how many? 3. That is correct. So for the small intestine, you have the first section, the duodenum, then the second one is the duodenum, and then finally the ileum. Okay, and that is one of the aspects we talk about between the junction of the small and large intestine is what we call an ileocecal valve, and I do believe that is one of your vocab terms that is the assigned tomorrow, or you're going to be taking that tomorrow. Okay, so if there's 3 parts to the small intestine, which there are again 3 parts to the large intestine. And really what it does is it just goes up, it goes across, and it goes back down. So you have what we call an ascending colon, a transverse colon, and finally a descending colon. Now, with that, it's fairly common for people to unfortunately come down with this type of cancer, colon cancer, which means those, I think the proper structure, they're called buds, I believe, that start to, you want to say, populate or take hold in an individual's large intestine or large bowels or whichever way you want to talk about it. It used to be that many people were not good about getting themselves tested, but mainly because, well, for one, there really wasn't the technology for that. But now, what might be the common procedure for someone to have colon cancer diagnosed? Does anyone know what it's called? Yes, it is a colonoscopy. Now, there are different types of tests that can be done that are not quite as invasive. Okay. Now, the reason we say that, if you've known anyone that has had to go through this process, probably your grandparents would be my guess, because I think the targeted age group for the initiation for testing is probably somewhere in an individual's 50s, especially if they've got a history of colon cancer. But one of the things that has to take place, and again, it's just that process that happens to people, we really don't like to talk about it, but there again, it's a common medical problem. I mean, there's really no reason. Some people are probably more comfortable than others, but they have to take a substance that cleans them out, if you want to call it that. Okay, because I suppose the bowels have to be empty in order for that colonoscopy to work. And in that process, they just take a solution, and once you drink that, you're probably not going anywhere for the next 24 hours. Okay, you're probably going to want to stay close to home. And what that does is then that allows that medical procedure to be recorded, and then the doctor can then make a proper diagnosis. Now, in your estimation, does a colonoscopy have to be done every year, do you think? And the answer is no. I believe once an individual has had one, then I don't know, I want to say it's probably every 5 years. Okay? But keep in mind, there are probably many people, like could be your great grandparents, that unfortunately just didn't live as long as what they possibly could have, and that was because the technology wasn't available, or just did not get themselves tested, or really didn't know that they're having those types of health problems. There again, one of the things we talk about when you get out into your job, out in society, it's one of those aspects that take advantage of those health benefits, or what do we call wellness checks? Is that what you had said? Yeah. Take advantage of those. That's what they're there for. Okay, so moving forward. Like we said, the ileum, that's the third portion of the small intestine. And as you can see, oh, it doesn't say anything about hooking up the large intestine. Okay. kind of a review. I like to constantly quiz you people down every day because, and I don't know how different college professors are going to administer their classes. Every professor is going to have their own way of doing it. I would think it's very similar to what we try to do here. So that's why we go through this. It's just kind of we're talking about these materials, and then chances are the professor's going to ask questions, and then when that happens, who's sitting in the front row in college classes? Nobody's hands are going up. Those are the good seats. Really good seats. Okay, one of the things I wanted to talk about that I forgot, well, I didn't forget, but in this section, okay, maybe there's a little bit of cul-de-stocking in there. First of all, what is cul-de-stocking? What type of substance is cul-de-stocking? It is a hormone. What does that hormone do? Okay, one of the things we've talked about is in your stomach, there is another hormone that turns the tap on. What did we refer to that? What? When we say turns the tap on, it's acid production. Gastrin does that. Why? Why have gastrin and acid production taking place in your stomach? Just to keep the bacterial count down? No. It's going to break down foods, but more specifically, what type? Proteins. Now, the acid doesn't do that, but it's an important step in the breakdown of protein. Is what does that acid do? It initiates something. Yeah, it'll activate pepsin then. Okay? So with that then, okay, where does that acid come from? Yeah, it's in the, you say in the stomach. Yeah, I know. We're talking about the stomach, but what's specifically in the stomach? Parietal cells, because parietal has an A in it, so keep your A's together. Because chief cells will secrete pepsinogen. Pepsinogen. So getting back to this, why is there perhaps cholestocin in this portion of the small intestine? Why is there perhaps cholestocin in this first portion of the small intestine? It's going to slow the production of something. Not gastrin. Okay, gastric juices are acid. Now, if that's what it does, why is that so important in here? It does not have mucous cells or mucus cells to produce that to protect it. Otherwise, you're going to eat a hole in your small intestine. So that's why it's very important for that acid to be shut off. Okay. I think that might be, this one is it for not only just today, but for the chapter then as well. So if
you choose, maybe on your paper or at our alternate sites, probably one of the more important diagrams is you want to write down page 668. Okay? And it looks something like this. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday. Okay? So it has a portion of the small intestine, the pancreas, because that's one of the things we're going to want to start talking about tomorrow is what's expected of you next week with that in your diagram. So page 668. And there's another one of the stomach, and that would be on page 662. Talk a little bit about that tomorrow as well. So the remainder of the time then, okay, got some papers that I see are due tomorrow. The rest of the time is yours to work on to see how, or to utilize how you see fit. And then tomorrow we'll have our final vocabulary portion on here. And then, and it's tough on you people. I know this tough part is, especially when I believe we got these two difficult classes every day, and then they're back to back. And we don't try to have evaluations on the same day, but what we will try to do is get those staggered at least a little bit. So keep in mind that just like for the organic class, your evaluation is over 2 days. Your evaluation in this class is over 2 days as well, and we'll start doing that process tomorrow. I'm thinking that I think with the organic class, we would probably do exams on Tuesday and Wednesday. And then for the A&P class, we're looking at either Wednesday and Thursday or Thursday and Friday, something to that effect, because there is just so much material to go over, right? So keep that in mind. Are we always going to be able to stagger them like that? Well, no. I know some individuals who took this class or not this class, but was in here for 3 hours in a row. Sometimes it would happen, they would have 2 evaluations and 1 quiz or something to that effect. But we try to avoid that the best we can, but it's not always going to happen. So that's all I've got for today. We will catch up to you next time, get those papers turned in, and vocab quiz tomorrow.